Hello everyone. We are going to continue our slope review. Today we are going to review the point slope formula. And the point slope formula is used to write the equation of a line when given a point, aka your x1, your y1, and the slope of a line, which of course is your m. Let's look at the formula. You have seen this before, but you probably don't remember. That is y minus y1 is equal to x minus x1. So y minus y1 is equal to x minus x1. And you have to distribute, then you have to solve for y. So actually I want you guys to number these. First you distribute, then you solve for y. So step 1 and step 2 is to distribute and solve for y. So let's look at number 1. I'm going to label these. I only have 1 point, so it's only going to be x1, y1. And I know my slope, that's going to be my m. So I'm going to look back at my formula over here, and I know that I have to do y minus y1 is equal to mx minus x1. My y, I don't have that one yet, so I'm going to leave it there. Minus my y1, in this case my y1 is a 1. I'm going to set that equal to my m, which here we have a slope of 2. Parentheses, those are really important, don't forget those. X, I don't know what x is, so I'm going to leave that there. Minus my x1, which is 4. So I'm going to go back here and look at my list. My first step does tell me to distribute. And what we're actually distributing is our slope. We're going to distribute it here and there. So we're going to distribute it to everything inside that parentheses. So everything else is going to stay. So I'm going to drop my y minus 1 equal 2. Then 2 times our x, that is just 2x. And then 2 times our negative 4, that's going to be a negative 8. So we've done step number 1 to distribute. Step number 2 says solve for y. So I need to get this y by itself. So what I'm going to do is simply, if I'm subtracting negative 1 here, I'm going to add 1 to both sides. This is going to get canceled. So now we are left with y is equal to, I cannot subtract 1 from 2x because they're not like terms. So I'm going to leave 2x by itself. And then I'm going to subtract, or to my negative 8, I'm going to add 1. So negative 8 plus 1, that is actually a negative 7. And we are done. 2 steps completed. We have our equation. Let's look at number 2. I'm going to start off by labeling my ordered pair, that is x1, y1. My slope is m. So again, I'm going to write my equation. Y minus y1 is equal to mx minus x1. I'm going to replace everything that I have with the things that I have already labeled. For example, I don't have my y, so that stays. Then I'm going to say minus my y1 here, that is a 4, equal to my slope, that is 1/2, x minus my x1, which is 2. Our first step does say to distribute. So I will be distributing my slope to my x and also my number. So everything inside the parentheses. Everything else stays. So y minus 4 is equal to 1/2 times x. That is 1/2 x. 1/2 times negative 2 actually ends up being a negative 1. I'm going to rewrite this over here just because I've run out of space. And my step number 1 is done. We're doing number 2. I have to isolate this y. So if I'm subtracting 4 here, in order to do that, I'm going to be adding 4 to both sides. So I have y equal to 1/2 x. Remember, I cannot combine those two. Those are not like terms. I can't add those two numbers together. And then -1 plus 4, that actually ends up being a +3, and we are done. Let's move on to our second half of our notes. Type 2, this is given 2 points. So type 2, we look at it, and you guys are probably going to go ahead and label first because that is what we've been doing this entire time. So let's do that. Let's label these x1, y1, x2, y2. Then our previous problems, we only had an x1 and a y1, but now we have 2 ordered pairs. What we are missing is a slope. I don't have a slope. Those last 2 problems gave me a slope. Here, I don't have one, which means I'm going to go and find it myself. And to do that, I'm going to need my slope equation. We said y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I'm going to replace my numbers. So I know that my y2 is a -1 minus my y1, which is a 7, divided by my x2, which is 1, minus my x1, which is a -3. So -1 minus 7, that's going to be a -8. 1 minus a -3, that becomes a positive, so that is 4. -8 divided by 4, that is actually going to reduce or simplify to a -2. So now I have a slope, and that is -2. So with that said, now I have a point, I have a slope. That's all I need for my point slope formula. So my point slope formula is as follows. Y minus y1 is equal to mx minus x1. I'm going to choose one of these. I'm going to go with the one that I already have labeled x1, y1, but either point would actually work. I'm going to choose x1, y1 just because it's already labeled. So same steps as before. Y minus my y1, which is 7, is equal to mx. Actually, we have our m, don't we? Let's see, we have, oops. So 7 equal to my slope of -2, my x, which I don't know, and my x1, which is up here, and it is a -3. And so I am going to distribute first, distribute here and there as well. And so this is going to become a plus. And so this drops down. We have -2 times x, that is a -2x. -2 times a +3, that is still going to be a -6. Now, since we're trying to isolate for, or solve for y, I'm going to add 7 to both sides. This is going to cancel. And we are left with our answer, which is y is equal to -2x plus 1. Let's look at number 6. Number 6, I am going to look for my slope first. So using this equation that we have here, I'm going to label x1, y1, x2, y2. So my slope is going to be -4 minus a -7 divided by 3 minus a -6. Change this to a plus, change this to a plus, and we have 3/9. However, 3/9 can be reduced. I am going to choose to reduce by 3. So divide both of those by 3, and our slope ends up actually being 1/3. With that said, I'm going to go back to my point slope formula. Y minus y1 is equal to mx minus x1. And I'm going to replace the things that I know. So I know my y1, here it's going to be a -7, equal to my slope of 1/3. X, I don't know that, and my x1 is a -6. Couple things I'm going to do. This is actually going to become a +7, and this is going to be a +6. So now we have y plus 7, 1/3 times x, that is 1/3 x, because I distribute here, and now I'm going to distribute there. That is going to be 1/3 times 6, which is 2. And then I'm going to isolate my y by subtracting 7 from both sides. This gets canceled. Y is equal to 1/3 x. 2 minus 7, that's going to be a -5. And we are done. Monday through Wednesday, be lunch. Come and ask me all your questions and we will get them answered.